Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for today's video. So in today's video I'm going to be continuing to work on Everafter. I want to try and get this kind of location in the Vale completed, and today I wanted to do a build for Merida's home. I hadn't got around to doing this yet because it wasn't a part of Buildmas, so I wanted to finally give her home a good spot in my valley, and I decided to put her in this first little section of the wild woods when you come into Everafter. I feel like it just fits for her character. It's kind of her own little land bit, and I wanted to give enough space to be able to decorate this as much as I possibly could, so let's get started. So as you can see, I've gone in and placed in all my furniture that I thought I might use, as I usually do. If you're not familiar with me and how I build, I tend to put out all the furniture in advance to kind of cut down time of you guys having to see me do it, and also kind of map everything in. And then I added in an archway to the entrance from the bind and added in some of the rock pathway from Merida's home to get a good idea of how big I wanted her kind of courtyard area to be. I wanted to make sure she had enough space in here that I could give her like a little seating area, and also use the craftable stone brick walls to kind of divide everything up. These just completely scream brave to me, these walls, and they just fit her house so perfectly, so I wanted to use them all around this build. But obviously I didn't use too much because these are quite expensive to craft, and I kind of got as much resources as I possibly could, let's just say, to be able to add a lot in. So I added those in, started figuring out a layout of how I wanted it to look. Now I didn't want the walls to look too straight or too structured. I wanted them to look kind of windy and oddly placed, because I just felt like they fit the kind of whimsical vibe of these walls. And then I added some around the back to create a little courtyard area that I'll go in and fill in as we go forward. As we move on to foliage, I decided to start marking in some of the bigger trees and kind of bushes and stuff that I wanted around the build itself, and I kind of figured out how I wanted everything to be divided, as well as adding in lighting to the entrance and exit points. This basically gave me a good map when I was starting to know what areas I didn't want to block with trees and furniture, and also what areas I wanted to obviously create pathways to make sure this area is completely accessible and you can get to not only the exit out to the other side of the wild woods, but also to get down to where the little trial area is. I don't know if we're going to be using this again in Act 2, but I still wanted to make sure we could have access to that, because sometimes items spawn down there, and obviously if we need it for anything, I thought it'd be good to keep it kind of open. And then once I'd figured that out, as you can see, I'm going in with a bunch of foliage and trees, kind of mapping everything in and wanting to use a lot of different colours as well as a lot of different styles. I'd already decorated the other side of this biome into like a fairy core style area. There is a video on my channel, I'll leave it in the description if you do want to see that, but I obviously wanted to kind of match the trees and the vibe in here as well. So these areas have a very similar kind of fairy core theme to them, so that is why I've gone with kind of the more whimsical and kind of brightly coloured foliage. As you can see next to Merida's house, I've kind of gone around and started making a little courtyard area. I've added in some of the Brave chairs that are from Scrooge's store, the little rugs from the tapestry, as well as some other Brave themed items such as like quest items and things like that to create this little mini courtyard next to her house. And as you'll see as we go forward, I'm adding in some of the flower petals right now, which no one shopped about, my favourite item. I'm dotting those around, but I also wanted to kind of map in the pathways. It's like the one going down to the trial, and as you can see I've already done the one going to the other side of the wildwoods, because I wanted to try and include some bigger pieces in here. There's a piece you can get with Everafter, which I know a lot of us have probably mentioned, that has a really gorgeous like lilac purple tree in it, and you can only get it in this big like cluster that's obviously a massive piece to put down, which is so sad because I want that tree individually. If you're listening, Game Loft, please. We're begging. But I wanted to include that, so I do kind of map around all the pathways, get everything placed in, and then as you'll see going forward I do have to kind of tweak this courtyard bit a little bit just in order to fit that in, which does take me a bit of time. You'll see it in a few minutes, but I wanted to kind of get the rest of it mapped in and figure out the layout of everything I was doing. Once I connected everything up with pathways and I could kind of figure out where the open spots were, I added in some meadow grass as well as some other bushes around these smaller sections that are kind of harder to map in. A lot of the Eternity Isle plants came in really handy in this because they're so small and they have such a small hitbox, so they were really perfect to kind of fit in those smaller areas. They also kind of fit with the fairy whimsy vibe I was going for in here anyway, which is really handy. But I also obviously added in a bunch of the bushes and foliage from both the Storybook Vale and also the base game, so there is a huge mashup in here and a lot of difference. So if you don't have a particular, like if you don't have the Eternity Isle DLC, don't fret, there's definitely a lot available in the other two kind of categories to be able to decorate like this and kind of get the variety of stuff. I just like using it to kind of fill these small gaps, such as this one by the entrance from the bind, and to kind of go around those stone walls to make them look quite overgrown and a bit more rustic and rural. That was kind of the vibe I was going for in here. I wanted to kind of do a combination of a whimsy fairy core style but also make it feel rustic and rural. I feel like in the future it'd be fun to do this build in a completely rustic one so it looked really old school. So if you want to see that in the future, let me know, because I feel like that would be really fun to do in a different location. But for now I wanted to map all that in, and then in this final blank corner, this is where the stone circle is going to go that we got from Merida's friendship items. So this area I kind of mapped out already to be open and empty because that furniture piece is quite big, so I did pop that in there and then started working around that with the other furniture items I had left, figuring out how I wanted to do the layout of it to make it a really nice focal point in this spot. final touches of the build, I added in some of the fireflies that we got from the Tiana Star Path, added in the final bits of foliage, and added in some lighting as well to finish it up. So this is the final build. As you can see, we're coming in from the bind, and straight away you are coming into a very overgrown area. We've got the archway to lead you in with the stone walls to kind of be that grand entrance, and then as we head down the path, you can obviously see we've got the divide between going to the other side of the wild woods where we've kind of led the pathway to, and then we've also got the way to go towards the stone circle, which I love how this turned out. I put the banner behind it to kind of make it a more grand area, and added in some foliage and flowers on the floor to just make it look really natural. I didn't want to add too much furniture and kind of take away from the beauty of it. We've then got Merida's home, where as you can see I've put another banner outside her house, and then these stone walls to lead you in with the brick path. And her house, I've just kind of kept it really simple, added some books and some furniture, but put most of it in the little courtyard section to the right. Along the rock pathway we go to the little courtyard where we've got some chairs for her to sit in with a friend, a little pot of tea, as well as her kind of quest items like the archery set, and also the kind of little statue. Felt like it'd be really nice for her to sit with a friend like Mulan and hang out here. And then we've got our final pathway leading us out towards where the trial is. I added in a bunch of lighting to kind of lead the way, so if you look at this build at other times of the day it really does glow, and then obviously added more banners all around the build to really show off her culture and her heritage because it's very important to her. And then we have the exit out to the trial. So here are some shots of the final build. I hope you guys did enjoy. I've honestly put it off way too long to do Merida's home. I've kind of used her home in other builds in the meantime, but I could not wait to give her a proper spot here in Everafter, and I'd kind of kept this section open and empty, ready for her house. And I'm glad she finally got a spot in the Vale, and I'm very happy with it. As I said, I feel like in the future it may be quite fun to do a more rustic medieval style build with her home, so maybe at some point I will do that somewhere else in Everafter. But for now I'm definitely happy with her being located here and how it turned out. Let me know down below what you think. Does Merida have a spot in your Vale or your valley yet at all? And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. We are so close to our goal of 4K subscribers. It's crazy. I think we're only like 80 away or 75 away, so if you're not yet subscribed, please do, because that is a huge goal to hit. But I appreciate you watching. See you in the next one. Bye.